I read that in our conversations, we tend to average 6 criticisms for every 1 encouragement. Wow. I wonder what our relationships would be like if we could reverse that ratio. Think about how that would affect our relationships at home, at work, in everyday life. You see, encouragement is such a big deal for us in our lives. Sometimes in life it feels like you take one punch after another, and we really need to be in the habit of encouraging one another. You know, the scripture has a lot to say about this subject of encouragement. There's a really surprising story in 1 Samuel chapter 30. Future King David is out with his men, his followers. They're at work, you might say, off together doing their work. And when they get back to town, the town where they're staying, they discover their town has been burned to the ground and the women and children have been captured and taken away. It's really the worst day of his life. It's the worst day of all of their lives. And you know what happens when circumstances turn bad like that? You tend to want to point the finger at someone and blame them. And guess who David's men point the finger at? That's right, David himself. And on what's the worst day of his life, his own wives have been captured. Their town has been burned down. His men are turning against him. There's this really surprising verse in the midst of this story. And in fact, it really shocked me the first time I came across it. And it's 1 Samuel chapter 30, verse 6. It says, "But David found strength in the Lord his God." David found strength in the Lord his God. Another translation puts it this way: David encouraged himself in the Lord. And what I really want us to think about is this concept of encouragement. Don't underestimate the power of encouragement. Don't underestimate it. And if we're going to be encouragers, the way it starts is by doing what David did, encouraging himself in the Lord. That's where it begins. We get our courage not from our circumstances, but from the Lord. I was walking down the hall today and passed a gentleman in the hall, and I said, "Have a great day." And he said, "I always do." And I chuckled and I laughed, and the skeptical side of me started to think, "Yeah, sure you do." And then I said, "Wait. See, if he's encouraging himself in the Lord, then his good day isn't dependent on his circumstances. It's not, his circumstances don't dictate what his attitude's like. Instead, if we encourage ourselves in the Lord like David did, then we can be real encouragers." There's another neat verse. This one is found in Proverbs. And it was probably written by David's son, Solomon, who maybe learned this lesson from his dad. And it's Proverbs chapter 11, verse 25. It goes like this: "A generous man will prosper. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed." I like that. He who refreshes others will himself be refreshed. You know, that's how things work in God's economy. It reminds us of the golden rule in Matthew chapter 7, where Jesus said, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you." As we refresh others, we in turn get refreshed. It comes back to you. You know, people want to be around an encourager. Look, you know there are certain people, they walk into the room and they just brighten the room. Literally, you're almost looking around saying, "What just happened here?" Because their presence is an encouragement to everyone there. On the flip side of that, of course, there are some people, unfortunately, who when they walk into the room, you just feel the tension increase. There's a cloud of gloom that comes over. They are anti-encouragers, right? We want to be one of those encouragers, people who refresh others and are in turn refreshed ourselves. It creates positive energy. It creates positive momentum as we go to refresh others. 1 Thessalonians 5:11 exhorts us along these same lines. It says that we need to build one another up. And that's really what encouragement is all about, isn't it? Building one another up. So I've got some quick tips to get us thinking about how we can build one another up. One is be aware of what encourages you and then do that for others. Another one is to learn individuals' love languages, what their love languages are. Gary Chapman wrote a great book called The 5 Love Languages, and it talks a lot about how we have different ways that we primarily get encouraged. These 5 love languages include words of affirmation, spending quality time, receiving gifts, acts of service, and physical touch. Those are ways that people can be loved, that they can be encouraged, that they can be built up. Now, for those of us that are married, this is especially important that we learn our mate's love language so that we can really be an encouragement to them and build them up. Another tip, if an encouraging thought comes to mind, share it. I didn't say share every thought that comes to mind. If an encouraging one comes to mind, share it. If you wait, the moment might be lost. The moment might be gone. Go ahead and share it. When you introduce someone, introduce them and add a few words of praise. So instead of saying, hi, meet John, say, this is my friend John. He's really good at fixing cars. Or he's been a best bud of mine for 5 years now. Say words of praise when you encourage others. There's so many ways that we can build others up. Offer specific help when someone's hurting. Remind Christians of the promises of God. Write someone a note. Send them an email of how much you appreciate them. Be specific with your praise. Realize the power of presence, of being with someone. If you're part of a Bible study or a fellowship group, be committed to that. Be faithful to be there. That's an encouragement to others when you're there. If you really want to encourage someone who's given you an excellent service, say thank you, and then maybe email their boss and let them know what a good job they did. When you see someone making positive changes in their lives, affirm that. When someone's speaking with you, show genuine interest in what they have to say. Smile, laugh. We can be the kind of people that are known for building others up, for encouraging one another. Go out and encourage someone today.